Hello guys, today we're going to be looking over the part 2 of the PSAT reading and writing section. So let's get started. I'm pretty sure we left on question number 18, so let's start with that. So the geoglyphs are large-scale designs of lines or shapes created in a natural landscape. The Nazca lines were created in the Nazca Desert in Peru by several indigenous civilizations over a period of many centuries. Peruvian archaeologist Johnny Isla specializes in these geoglypha. At a German exhibit about the Nazca lines, he saw an old photograph of the large geoglyph of a whale-like figure and was surprised that he didn't recognize it. Isla returned to Peru and used a drone to search a wide area, looking for the figure from the air. This approach suggests that Isla thought that if he hadn't already seen it, the whale-like geoglyph must. Alright, so now it just logically completes the test. So this is like similar to main idea, but it's a little bit easier. So I really recommend that you guys try to use the same skills that you guys use on the main idea section. So that's how we're going to be doing it. So the first thing is he uses a drone to search a wide area after he didn't recognize something. So must represent a species of whale that went extinct before there were any people in Peru. Well, doesn't even make sense. It's actually located in Germany. You literally started looking in Peru, so that's probably not the answer. Probably looking in a location that probably is the answer, because if you see here, he uses a drone to search a wide area in Peru, and Peruvian archaeologist Johnny Isla specializes in the geoglyphs. So he probably thinks that he hasn't seen it before. So that's probably the answer. Alright, next, number 19. The sun never sets during the Arctic summer in the far north. In response, reindeer in this region must change their sleep habits. Instead of resting when it gets dark, they rest when they need to blank their food. So, conventional standard English, you guys should be able to do this easy. Instead of resting when it gets dark, they rest when they need to digest their food. I mean, you can just straight up read across. So I'm just going to read this one sentence. We don't need to see that before. Between 1907 and 1946, he painted many inventions. Blank and odd, so including, because ing, because it's a list, so we're going to have ing. The radiation that blank during the decay, and we can just literally just plug in words. The radiation that have occurred, the radiation that occur, radiation is singular, so it can be occurred. The radiation that are occurring, so you can eliminate all of them and just say A, because only singular one. That's not plural. And then in 1903, environmentalist John Muir guided President Theodore Roosevelt on a scenic, sprawling trip throughout California's Yosemite Valley. Upon returning from a 3-day excursion, Roosevelt is disavowing. He's already dead. I hopefully not will vow. I don't think so. Roosevelt vows. I mean, this is past tense because it's in 1903, so it's probably not the answer. So the answer is B. Alright, next, 23, I don't even know how to pronounce this word, are organic compounds, that, this cannot be the answer, it's literally just like a period. Polymers are organic compounds that, stop, that doesn't make sense. Well, doesn't make sense. So the other one is C. Because, see, hopefully that's just better, because basically it's just saying that this is a non-essential clause, and which is this. Polyphenols are organic compounds that provide pigment, just like that. Alright, 24. In the early 20th century, Joseph Kinuku and other Hawaiian musicians, why would it be plural? Because this is possessive, so it would not be B, it would not be C because it's singular, and it would not be D because that's possessive again, so, it's A. Alright. 25. Award-winning cinematographer James Wong Howe was known for his innovative film techniques while filming a boxing match for the movie Body and Soul. It's obviously 1947, and it wouldn't be an and because this is a dependent followed by independent, so the answer would have to be B. 26. There's actually some pretty easy grammar questions, so y'all should be fine. During the American Civil War, Thomas More and Chester braved the front lines, amplifying the voices and experiences of black soldiers. Are of particular importance, amplifying voices and experiences. This is important. Were of particular interest, have been of okay, it's obviously not have been. Was. Okay, so first of all, it's between was and were. Have been, that's obviously not going to be the answer. So it's between was and were for 26. So the main thing here is amplifying. Amplifying is the thing that it's describing right now, so it's was. A lot of you guys are going to get tricked up here and say that it's were, because you guys are going to think, oh, the voices and experiences of black soldiers. But the main thing that the was is referring to is amplifying. So amplifying was of particular importance. So make sure you guys don't get tripped up on that, and then recognize what it's actually talking about. 27. Lady Kai's hair is her art. Inspired by her stylist, blah, blah, blah. The Iberian artist uses wire and thread to sculpt her hair into all kinds of shapes. Period. Okay, and then this is transitions. So transitions are honestly pretty easy. So what you should just look at what the sentence before and then see how it relates to the sentence after. So it says inspired by hairstyles. She uses wire and thread to sculpt her hair. So elsewhere, well, and it gives an example of how she does that. So the answer is obviously just C here. 28. Something about Mary Tate becoming a hero of Asian American civil rights. In January of that year, she won an anti-discrimination court case in the Supreme Court. And then it's just showing that how she became a hero. So, and then she gives one example, and then later in April. So it's later because it's like a time thing. So it's gonna be later. 29. Phytoplankton play a crucial role in the ocean's uptake of carbon dioxide when alive, as these tiny marine organisms observe atmospheric carbon via photosynthesis. And then it's transitioning to after they die, so when they're alive to after they die, so the answer is going to be that. Afterwards, we're going to move on to question 30. Originally coined by economist Joan Robinson to refer to markets with multiple sellers of a product but only one buyer, the term monospony also referred to markets where demand for labor is limited. In a product monospony, the single buyer can force sellers to lower their prices. Okay. And then, so it's basically contrasting the two. So it's talking about a product monospony, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, and then a labor monospony. So it's, contrasting the two, and all of these are contrasting, except I would say D already gets eliminated. And then A also probably gets eliminated. So it's between these two. So what does it say? Let's see. A single buyer can force sellers to lower their prices. Buyers can force, so it's kind of related, lowering wages and whatever. So the answer is C. And 31, these are like the easiest problems. Hopefully you guys are getting these right. And then while researching the topic, students taking notes. And I'm just going to skip to the question. What contrasts the purposes of the maps and the Hobbit's choice effectively uses relevant information to accomplish the goal? So he wants to contrast the purposes of the two maps in the Hobbit. So what is the two contrast the purposes? So one introduces the readers to the fictional world, and the other one reconstructs the story that they have just read. So give me 1 second. Anyway, so the Hobbit's opening map introduces the readers, so it's not admittedly in A. It's the only one that really makes sense. I guess you could say about B, but it's just both of these are wrong. Just straight up, this one's just too simple. This one talks about a novel published by J.R. Tolkien. I mean, that's already just too much work right there. This one is also too basic. The answer's just A. Okay, while researching the topic, the student has taken the following notes. John Carver was one of 40 minutes. Actually, you guys can just read that. I'm just going to skip to the question. Wants to specify the reason why the Mayflower Compact was created. So let's see here. Why was it created? It was created to establish a common government. Okay, so that's the main reason why it was created. It was not created the Mayflower Compact, to plant the first I guess it could be, but again, to establish a common government, this is the only one that says that. The answer is going to be C. It's obviously not D. You guys can just read that. With a legal agreement it's just legal agreement. It doesn't say what it actually does. Again, here it states like what a specific thing in it, but it doesn't say exactly what it wants to do. So that's the answer. All right, 33. What is your topic? Students taking the following notes. Whatever these notes are, the student has to make. I recommend actually not even reading these. Okay, just skip through the answer. Wants to make and support a generalization about honeybees. Okay, a generalization about honeybees. So let's see. What are some generalizations we could say? A lot of bees survive harsh winter in urban area, and only a lot more survive in urban than they can do in rural. So, let's look at that. Mm. So it does not say anything about the. I mean, yeah, it does. I guess, which are often have a wider range, but this is a generalization about honeybees, not cities and rural areas. So that's why A is wrong. Um, and then B, I guess that could be the answer. So this one's really tricky. You just want to make sure to pay attention to the prompt. C, the strength of the honeybee's immune system depends on what the bees eat. It does not say that anywhere, so we can say that C is wrong. Honeybees are more likely to thrive in cities than rural areas because of the very diet available in urban areas and strengthens the bees' immune systems. Okay, so here's where it's between B and C, right? And if you use a concept that, okay, well, in the passage it says that 62% and only 40% will survive, which is explicitly stated in the thing, right? So that's good. You think, okay, B, that's the right answer. But no, B is not the right answer. The right answer is actually D. And here is why. That's why you have to understand the question. The question is asking wants to make and support a generalization, right? Over 40-60% of honeybees will survive the harsh winter, whereas in rural areas only 40% will. That's not really a generalization. That's just a straight up fact. Okay, you want to make it and then support it, so like an actual generalization. This D is the only one that gives a true generalization of what they're trying to say. So I'm more likely to survive in cities because of the very diet that says here. So it's like kind of tying everything together. So right here and right here. This B only lists parts from here and then parts from here. So that's not good, which is why D will be the correct answer. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's rather short. I'm going to be releasing a math video soon, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching.